All right, we are back on the Take That Sportscast. Was going to try and do live, but YouTube is, of course, being difficult because that's just YouTube's way. Let's be difficult. Let's not, be user friendly or creator friendly. Let's wait like this really arbitrary 24-hour rule before you can stream. Uh, Makes no sense to me. This is, a channel that's made several videos, good standing with YouTube, but whatever. I'm still going to try and get a video. Now, you may notice my two co-hosts are not here, and there's some reasons for that. We're still on good terms. We're still do fantasy together. We'll probably do shows together. But uh, with three adults and this not being, something that pays yet, Um, maybe it will in the future. Probably not. There's oodles of podcasts out there. We have all jobs and personal lives and stuff. And so we kind of took a little hiatus. But I'm very passionate about podcasts. I'm very passionate about sports talk. And so I want to come back. We'll try and do live shows so we can have a little more fan interaction. So follow us on the Take That Sports Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you can get and turn on notifications so that you can get notified when we're going live. But uh, it's very time consuming, YouTube, and my co-host Kyle can attest to this. Uh, you work really hard, to edit and to make the videos, look the way they are with the intros, cutting out kind of the extra stuff that happens when you're on a Zoom call and all that. So, but we're going to go live just because it's a little bit easier, even if it may not be as polished as an edited video. Um, but I kind of like the authenticity. As you can tell, my studio is, which is just my room, is all set up and looking nice and cool and wonderful. So I'm excited to get started. And I wanted to discuss what's been happening in the sports world, of course. And I think the biggest story of the weekend was the preseason week 1 in the NFL. And can I just say that the quarterbacks drafted in the first round, the ones we've been looking forward to seeing, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville, uh, Zach Wilson with the Jets, Trey Lance in San Francisco, and Justin Fields in Chicago, all looked good and all looked like you could make the case that they should start week 1. And that is something that is very new to the NFL. It used to be radical that they would even see starting time in the first season as a rookie quarterback. You would know things have imploded if the rookie quarterback was starting, by week 8. Uh, now it's now it's if the guy's not ready, NFL ready by almost week 8, then you're starting to have questions about him. And so, but looking at the quarterbacks, and again, a small sample size in a game that doesn't count, vanilla offenses, vanilla defenses, guys not playing, they still looked. They passed the eye test. I think all of them had their moments. Were they perfect? By no means. Let's start with Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville. They were taking on the Cleveland Browns. He gets 2 series, gets to play with the starters, as did Gardner Minshew. And Trevor Lawrence looked good. First play from scrimmage takes the sack. That's something he's going to learn. He's going to learn that, you know, even the best ACC and SEC and Big Ten defenses, even the best college defenses, are nothing compared to these NFL defenses in terms of how quick they are, in terms of how they get off the line. You know, you have an extra, and it may not seem like a lot more, um, But the difference between like 3 to 4 seconds to throw the ball and 5 to 6 are astronomical in football. You know, you have to hit your routes quicker. But so he was sacked a couple of times. You don't like that. You also have to question a little bit the Jaguars line, how good they're gonna be. Well, in terms of the weapons he has some good weapons. Marvin Jones Jr. of course comes to mind. Um, and I think he played really well. When he had time, he was zipping his passes in there. He completed a couple screen passes, had a couple downfield passes, had a pretty good one. I think it was about 20 yards down the field, just zipped it. So I mean, you see it there. Um, but honestly, again, it was he. I think he had one of the lowest sample sizes of all these rookie quarterbacks. The one that's getting the most attention is Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is my number 2 quarterback on the board. And honestly, he played really, really well. He did have some poor throws. He had some overthrows. There's a, he should have had an interception at one point when he floated a pass, but and he had his touchdown pass was pretty easy. It was a broken coverage, and he just had to float one. I mean, he could even throw it across his body and float it to the receiver. It was wide open. It was a broken coverage play, but that's going to be the easiest touchdown of his life. Unfortunately for him, it happened in a game that doesn't count. But at least it was the first game of his that doesn't count, so that it impresses on the stat line. He's very mobile. I think he's a bit more mobile than Trevor Lawrence. I think there were times when Lawrence was struggling to get out of the pocket, and that was another thing. He was just unable to get out of that pocket and look for either running down the field or buying himself some of that extra time. And that's a concern. Fields had a running touchdown. His passes looked really sharp. I think he played very well in terms of how he was zipping the ball down the field. I mean, he looks NFL ready. And honestly, looking at the Bears, I mean, are you really that excited about Andy Dalton or Nick Foles? And even as an Eagles fan, Foles was special for our Super Bowl run. Yeah, he's the third quarterback on that team. Dalton, he's always been like he always has been decent, but he's not like that guy that's gonna inspire a team. I think Justin Fields should start week 1. I think Trevor Lawrence maybe give him some time behind Minshew or give him some more reps in the preseason. Again, only 2 series, sacked a couple of times. Uh, Zach Wilson was proficient, 6 and 9, 61 yards. Um, Again, he looked good. I mean, again, all these guys had their moments. Um, and he was proficient, nothing really eye popping. But again, when you're only getting a quarter or 2 or 3 series or even a half, um, and it's your first time out there, I don't think you're necessarily going to have earth-shattering numbers. No one really has earth-shattering numbers in the preseason unless you're on the third stringers that get the substantial playing time because they're the ones, that you're on the roster bubble. So you're trying to see, okay, is this guy going to fit? Is this guy? And so they get a lot more time than the starters and the second stringers who are more established. Um, and even these rookie quarterbacks, they're going to make the rosters. Obviously, if they're drafted in the first round, you like them enough that they're going to make the roster. You're just looking to see if they're going to start week 1. And then Trey Lance, I mean, he had the highlight play of week 1 of the preseason. How about that 80-yard dot he threw? Um, and he played well. I like the way he played. Um, his stat line um, uh, was pretty good. Um, I mean, 80 yards on his second throw. He had 80 yards. He looks pretty good. Again, he went for 128 yards on 5 of 14, 1 TD. So he had he was pretty good. I mean, again, a 35 completion percentage. He won a little more, but that 80-yard pass, man, that was a beautiful pass. He was about 46 yards down the field. A little bit behind his wide receiver, but still enough the receiver could take off down the field. Legendary call, Trey area from the great Greg Papa on the 49ers preseason network. So it was a pretty good play from Trey Lance. It was obviously the highlight play of preseason week one with these quarterbacks. Uh, Again, Fields had a couple of TDs. Zach Wilson played well. Trevor Lawrence played well. Um, they all showed potential, the potential of starting week one. That's just what I think. I think it's amazing these quarterbacks now, and every year it's the same. Every year they're starting earlier and earlier. I mean, Justin Herbert last year, he was drafted. I don't think anybody expected him to start as early as he did. You have the snafu with the doctors um, accidentally, basically stabbing accidentally with and creating a punctured lung, trying to do an injection uh, on and now I'm blanking on his name uh, on the rib cage, and it punctures the guy's lung, and then he's out. And Justin Fields is thrown into the fire, or Justin Herbert rather, is thrown into the fire, and he has an amazing season, an amazing year. Rookie of the year, obviously, in the NFL. And he was very, very impressive his rookie season. And again, I'm looking at these quarterbacks, and I think all of them are going to maybe not start week one, but I think all of them are going to start season one. I mean, the Niners, Jimmy G, he might be the best quarterback that's getting taken over, but he's injured all the time. He's probably going to get injured week 3 or 4 of the season and get replaced. You know, the Jets, they traded away Sam Darnold. This is Zach Wilson's team to make. Uh, they don't really have any other experience in that quarterback room. Trevor Lawrence, I could see Minshew starting a couple of weeks, but if he starts to struggle, if they lose their first couple of games, the Trevor Lawrence call is going to happen. You know, because we know what Minshew is. He's had his moments. He's fun. He has the stash and all that, but he's not he's not an elite talent. Trevor Lawrence, if he plays to his potential, is going to be an all-time great. Justin uh, uh, Justin Fields, same thing. The Bears have never had a quarterback. I mean, the '85 Bears, it was Jim McMahon, not necessarily a big name. That was the defense carried that team. And other than that, who the Bears had? Rex Grossman, Mitchell Trubisky. Justin Fields is the man. I mean, we know what Andy Dalton is. He's a serviceable quarterback. But serviceable ain't going to cut it. The Bears, right now, have a chance to take over the NFC North. If Fields hits, year one, I'd like the Bears to win the NFC North. I mean, the Packers right now, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even want to be there. And yes, I know he's still the best. In my opinion, he's the best quarterback in the planet. But he doesn't want to be there. What if things start going south there? Minnesota is not going to be a winning team this year. They're not that good. Kirk Cousins isn't that good. I'm sorry. I like the guy. He seems like a nice guy. He's not an elite talent. He's a middle-in quarterback. He's overpaid. He's a middle-in quarterback. And for the most part, in prime time, against the big opponents, he's fallen flat. And the Lions are going to be the biggest disaster in the division anyway, with uh, their crazy coach Dan Campbell. This is Chicago's division to take. They have the talent. They have Allen Robinson. They have they have a good D. This is their division to take. Like, this was a playoff team with Trubisky. With Trubisky, they made the playoffs, and they should have won that game if it hadn't been for the double doink a couple years ago. That what was it, 2018 wild card? Like, this was a playoff team with Trubisky, but he was still holding them back. Can you imagine them with an elite talent at quarterback? It's their division to take, honestly. And even if it's not this year, Aaron Rodgers is leaving Green Bay next year. This is it. I do not see a change in Green Bay. Like, unless Green Bay shocks the world and wins the Super Bowl, which I don't think is happening, I think there's too much drama in that quarterback room. I think I do not think LaFleur is a great playoff coach. And honestly, if they have to face the Buccaneers again in the NFC Championship game, a fully healthy Buccaneers team is going to beat that Packers team 8 times out of 10. Seriously, 80% of the time, that Buccaneers team, better coached, Brady's the better playoff quarterback, and they have a lot of talent around him. The Buccaneers will win that game 8 out of 10 times. And like the Lions and Vikings, the Vikings are meh at best. I mean, Dalvin Cook stays healthy. Maybe they surprise a few people, but he's one guy. And yet, yes, they have Thielen, and yes, they have um, Justin Jefferson. But I think Cousins is the one holding them back. And so I look at the team. I look at the talent that they have. The Bears. Justin Fields, week 1, uh, could very well be the starter. I think he looked really sharp. And I know I'm a little bit biased because I was very high on Fields coming out of college, and it shocked me that he dropped to 11. I think that's a steal for the Chicago Bears at 11. If you find your franchise guy at 11, that could be a steal. Again, like Andy, he's in a pretty decent situation at least in his division. I mean, the AFC South, I think the AFC South has some talented teams. I mean, Indianapolis, if they can stay healthy, and it looks like Wentz and Quentin Nelson are going to be ready week 1, which is a miracle for them. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be good. Tennessee is still going to be a great team. Houston's a disaster, but uh, it's a. I don't think you're going to win that division unless Tennessee falls apart. You might finish second. You might try and vie for a wild card, but the wild card is going to be tough. The Chargers are going to be competing for a wild card. I think the Raiders are going to be competing for that wild card. Um, the Dolphins probably will, because I have the Bills most likely winning the AFC East. I think the Patriots will be better. Mac Jones, I completely forgot about Mac Jones. Um, Honestly, I think during the I was watching that baseball game during Mac Jones' debut, but from what I heard, he was good. Again, I think he's kind of the most boring of the quarterbacks that was drafted. Like, I'm really excited. I'm really pumped to see um, Justin Fields. And Trey Lance, you know what? It's a competitive division, but he was drafted into the best situation. San Francisco at 2, obviously they traded up to get him, was a great situation for him. Like, Shanahan's a great coach, and I know Devin is probably off somewhere. He's not. 28-3, Super Bowl 2. Look, those were 2 bad incidents, but 2 bad moments does not a bad coach make. And he looks very, very talented. Very talented. Um, so that's my thoughts on preseason week 1. Probably a good episode here to end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, uh, click that notification bell. I'm going to try and go live if YouTube lets me. YouTube, come on, guys. Like, really, the 24-hour rule is ridiculous. I get if it's a new channel, but this channel's been around since February. We've been making videos since March. I know it's been a couple months since we put one out, but we are back. Take that to guys. We're going to try and get a couple episodes out a week. Maybe with the other guys, if they have time and are willing to come on. I know Kyle's willing to come on. Probably get Devin on as well once we get this ball rolling. But I'm excited to be back. I'm excited for the NFL season. MLB season's coming down to the wire. We'll probably discuss that tomorrow if we do, or if we are able to go live tomorrow. So I'll keep people posted on our Twitter page at Take That Pod. Uh, um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this upcoming NFL season. I hope you guys are too. Preseason week 2 begins in just a few days. We'll have to see if these guys can follow it up with more good performances. Since preseason shortened to 3 weeks, I'd imagine preseason week 2 will be akin to what used to be preseason week 3, that kind of dress rehearsal game. You'll probably see more of the starters. Obviously, different teams are doing different things. But the NFL season's right around the corner. I mean, it's August 16th, and the season is starting September 8th. With the uh, Buccaneers taking on the Cowboys on NBC. So that's coming up very soon, less than a month away now. Just a few weeks, and we might have a fantasy football preview coming out. We might have we're going to do a lot, and then of course baseball heading down the wire. So we'll discuss that as well. But again, I love you viewers so much. Comment, like, subscribe, do all that, share it. Let's grow this thing, people. We are back better than ever. Take That Sportscast. Hopefully live soon so you guys can comment and I can critique your comments live and have some fun with you guys. But I'm excited. We're back. Peace.